Imagine an era when a single dagger, one mysterious death, could alter the fate of an entire empire. In 1253, across the vast Mongolian desert, a Flemish monk named William of Rubruck entered the palace of the world's most powerful ruler, Mongol Khan. What he witnessed made his blood run cold. Everywhere, guards wore armor black as darkness. Every corner, every corridor had watchful eyes. The great Khan's palace had become a fortress, not against mighty armies, but against phantoms moving in shadows. 40 assassins, 40 manhunters dispatched from Persia's distant mountains, carrying a single mission: kill the great Khan of the Mongol Empire. Who would dare what no one in the world dared imagine? Who possessed the courage to challenge the mightiest empire in human history? The Order of Assassins, whose very name was enough to jolt kings awake in the night. And this is the story of a death match between two powers the world had never seen so evenly matched. To understand why the Mongols, invincible warriors, feared a sect hidden in the mountains, we must turn back time to 1090. Look up at Persia's Elburz mountain peaks, where rock formations stand like wolf fangs piercing the clouds. There, atop a towering cliff face, existed a fortress called Alamut, the Eagle's Nest. Only one path led there, a narrow trail beside sheer precipices. One guard could hold off an entire army. This was where Hassan-i-Sabah, founder of the Order of Assassins, built his kingdom. Hassan was no ordinary king. He was a strategic genius, a profound scholar, and a fanatic so extreme his own children kept their distance. From a small room in Alamut, where he spent most of his time studying mathematics and astronomy, Hassan directed a terror campaign spanning 2 centuries. His tactics were simple, yet so brutal, they made the entire world tremble. No need for mighty armies, just one person, one dedicated assassin, appearing in the right place at the right time. The Fedayeen, the self-sacrificing ones, received rigorous training not just in combat skills but in religious fanaticism. They believed death in their mission would send them straight to paradise. Thus they needed no escape. They completed their task, then accepted death, turning each assassination into a chilling message sent to remaining enemies. From the 11th to 13th centuries, the Order's victim list reads like history's roll of the dead. Nizam al-Mulk, the Seljuk Empire's most powerful minister, assassinated by a killer disguised as a monk in 1092. Conrad of Montferrat, the de facto king of the Kingdom of Jerusalem, killed in 1192 by 2 Christian monks he had trusted for 6 months. Even the great Saladin, the Islamic hero who liberated Jerusalem, had to flee assassination attempts multiple times. One night, Saladin awoke to find a hot cake and a warning letter on his pillow stating, "Only they could have placed it there." From then on, Saladin only dared sleep in a towering mobile wooden structure under heavy guard. By the 13th century, the Order had built a network of hundreds of fortresses across Persia and Syria. They couldn't be defeated by conventional armies. They were ghosts, living nightmares, something kings couldn't defend against. Until the storm from the east arrived. If the Order of Assassins was darkness, the Mongols were the tempest that incinerated everything in their path. From 1219, when Genghis Khan marched into Central Asia, the entire world witnessed the Mongol war machine's destructive power. Strongholds collapsed, kingdoms shattered, millions died. But among all enemies the Mongols crushed, one small force survived: the Order of Assassins. Initially, relations between both sides were fairly harmonious. The Order even expressed loyalty to the Mongols. Why not? The Mongols were focused on bigger targets: China, Baghdad, and Europe. Small mountain fortresses in Persia weren't worth their attention. But this fragile balance was shattered on one fateful day. In 1251, a shocking event occurred. Mongol Khan, Genghis Khan's grandson, ascended as Great Khan in a grand coronation ceremony at Karakoram. Thousands of warriors, royalty, and envoys from across the world gathered to witness the birth of the empire's 4th emperor. And during that very coronation, an assassination plot was discovered. A group disguised as a diplomatic delegation from the Order of Assassins had infiltrated the palace. They carried no gold gifts or peaceful letters. They brought poison-laced daggers and a single mission: kill Mongol Khan before the entire world. Luck, or fate, made the guard suspicious. The plot was exposed. The assassins were captured alive. but the damage was too great. Mongol Khan, one of the most talented and ruthless emperors in Mongol history, looked into the eyes of the assassins from Alamut, and he understood one thing. The Order of Assassins was no longer a minor nuisance. They were an existential threat to the empire's survival. From that point on, the Great Khan's palace became a fortress. Over 40 assassins were believed to have infiltrated Mongol territory. Every stranger, every shadow, was a potential threat. And Mongol Khan issued an order, one that would forever change the Order of Assassins' fate. In 1252, he summoned his brother, Hulagu Khan, and gave him a historic mission. Destroy the Order of Assassins, leave no fortress standing, leave no soul alive. Hulagu Khan was not one to rush. He knew the Order of Assassins couldn't be defeated through haste. This wasn't a battle on open plains where Mongol cavalry could overwhelm opponents with speed and arrow storms. This was a war against mountain fortresses, built over 2 centuries, guarded by people willing to die. So for 3 years, Hulagu prepared. He assembled one of history's most formidable armies. Over 150,000 warriors, including Mongol cavalry, Persian infantry, Armenian forces, and most fearsome of all, a corps of Chinese engineers led by Guo Khan, carrying the era's most advanced siege machines. October 1253, the great army departed Karakoram. They crossed Central Asia, traversed deserts, forded rivers, and slowly advanced westward like an irresistible tide. March 1253, the vanguard commanded by General Kitbuka crossed the Amu Darya River with 12,000 troops. They began attacking the Order's border fortresses. April 1253, the first fortresses in Quistan fell. The population was mercilessly slaughtered, a message written in blood and fire sent to the remaining fortresses. But the war's climax still lay ahead. Alamut, the Eagle's Nest, the heart of the Order of Assassins. In 1255, the Order's leader, Imam Muhammad III, suddenly died under mysterious circumstances. His son, a young man named Rukn al-Din Kursha, assumed power during the Order's darkest hour. Kursha knew he couldn't defeat Hulagu by force, so he tried buying time through diplomacy, sending envoys promising surrender, begging for more time. But Hulagu Khan's patience had run out. Early 1256, the great Mongol army split into 3 prongs, invading the Order's territory. The right wing, led by Köke Ilgay and Buka Timur, advanced into Mazandaran. The left wing, led by Prince Teguder and General Ketbuka, advanced into Khorasan. The center, commanded by Hulagu Khan himself, marched straight toward Alamut. One fortress after another fell. The Order rallied troops, but each mountain battle was a crushing defeat against Chinese siege machines. November 18, 1256, at the Maimandiz fortress, a significant event occurred. Nasir al-Din al-Tusi, a great scholar and astronomer, had been held captive by the Order in the fortress for years. Seeing the end near, he opened the gates and surrendered to the Mongols. Hulagu not only spared his life, but appointed him as advisor, and later Tusi became one of the greatest scientists under the Ilkhanate dynasty. The next day, November 19, 1256, something unimaginable happened. Rukn al-Din Kursha walked out of Maimundiz fortress and surrendered to Hulagu Khan. But this wasn't the end. Hulagu knew that as long as Alamut, the Order's heart still stood firm, the war hadn't ended. Kursha, now a Mongol prisoner, was required by Hulagu to travel from fortress to fortress, ordering his warriors to surrender. And strangely, the fortresses, places that had never fallen in 2 centuries, began opening their gates. November 22, 1256, just 3 days after Kursha's surrender, Alamut Fortress, the legendary Eagle's Nest, also lowered its flags. Hulagu Khan entered the fortress Hassani Sabah had ruled from his small room nearly 2 centuries earlier. He saw a massive library containing thousands of books on philosophy, mathematics, astronomy, the knowledge of an entire civilization. Some scholars begged Hulagu to preserve the library, but Great Khan Mongol's order was clear. Leave nothing. Fire blazed. Ancient books, knowledge humanity could never recover, turned to ash. Alamut's walls were demolished, stones thrown into deep ravines, but the greatest tragedy had yet to come. Kursha, the order's final leader, requested Hulagu's permission to travel to Karakoram to meet Great Khan Mongol. hoping to beg for mercy. Hulagu agreed. Kursha, along with his family and retinue, began the long journey through deserts and mountains eastward. But upon reaching Karakoram, Munka Khan refused to see him. On the return journey, at a place in the desolate desert, the retinue was surrounded by Mongol troops. A dagger flashed, a scream. Rukn al-Din Kursha, the Order of Assassins' final imam, along with his entire family, was murdered. But Munka still wasn't satisfied. He ordered a comprehensive purge. Throughout Persia, Mongol troops hunted down those still loyal to the order. Villages burned, people were summoned, then massacred en masse. An estimated 100,000 Nizari Ismailis were killed in the final months of 1256 and early 1257. Some fortresses held out. Lamsar fell in January 1257 after a cholera outbreak, but one fortress, Gerdku, refused to submit. Mongol troops besieged Gerdku for 17 years. They built houses, erected camps, and waited. Finally, on December 15, 1270, 17 years after the siege began, the fortress garrison surrendered due to a lack of clothing against the winter cold. In 1275, there was one final glimmer of hope. One of Kursha's sons rallied forces and recaptured Alamut for a few months, but the Mongols returned and crushed all hopes of revival. From then on, the Order of Assassins, the phantoms who had shaken the world for 2 centuries, vanished into history's flow. But this isn't a story about victory and defeat. This is a story about 2 contrasting forces. One side, the empire's absolute power. The other, the shadow tactics of those who challenged authority. The Mongols won, but not without cost. They had to mobilize one of history's largest armies, spent 3 years preparing, and nearly 2 decades completely suppressing resistance. The Order of Assassins lost, but they proved one thing. Even the world's mightiest empire could be threatened by dedicated individuals and a powerful idea. Today, the Nizari Ismaili community still exists with millions of believers across 5 continents, under the leadership of Aga Khan IV, the 49th Imam. They're no longer assassins, but people pursuing peace, education, and charity. But the legacy of the Hashishim, the hashish users, lives on in language. The word assassin in English, asesino in Spanish, and assassin in French all stem from their name. And whenever you hear the word assassination, remember the fortresses on high mountains, remember Alamut, the eagle's nest, remember the confrontation between phantoms and the steppe storm. A war where no one was the true victor, only history, and the lessons we're still learning today.